Hey guys, welcome back to Be a Creative. This video is showing you how I made the page in my little gratitude tag book for the Dina Wakley Gratitude Monthly Show Us Your Media Challenge. It almost didn't get put up, I'll be honest, and if you stick around long enough to see the finished product, you'll see why. But I figured, you know what, you learn by mistakes, either by making them or in this case watching other people make mistakes. I certainly learned a lot making this little page in this book, so maybe somebody else will learn something too. And I firmly believe, to quote Pinterest, it is better to make bad art than no art at all. So let's get started. The prompt for November was friendship, so I have my little friends little heading stamped out so I don't forget what the page is later. This is the page that we're going to be working on in our little jelly printed tag book. We're going to need some Tim Holtz Distress Collage paper and the Dina Wakley Strong Women stamp set. Those heads are kind of tiny, which were perfect for the tags. Some random distress markers. Those are not the ones that I originally picked out, but those are the ones that I wound up using. I'll try to remember to explain later. And some Jane Davenport Squid Ink. I am obsessed with her color palette. It is archival ink. It is fantastic. We're going to need some washi tape, and that's just black hearts, a random script stamp that I didn't even wind up using, and some Nuvo Embellishment mousse in the only two colors that I own, which is apparently a hot pink and a silver that you can't see on top of anything, a random stencil. I think that's a Vicky Bouton, but I can't be certain. And some embellishments. I have what I'm hoping is going to be my main sentiment. It's not, spoiler. And some washi collage pieces from Jane Davenport. I don't believe I used that either. And a chicken wire piece of cardstock that I cut out with my Cricut. So, in my head, what I wanted to do was stamp all of the faces down using the Jane Davenport gray squid ink on this piece of collage paper. I was hoping it would give me like this really nice faded background of just heads, basically to symbolize, you know, all the women that I know. However, I'm realizing that it's not quite as dark as I thought it was going to be. So I'm doing a little test piece, which you're thinking, oh, that's smart, and it was, but I decided, no, it's okay. You know what, it'll be all right. I'll make it work. I'll be able to see it because I could see it when I put it over the little tag, right? Nope, but I'm jumping ahead. It's actually really pretty. The gray on the tissue paper gives like this really nice, almost watermark effect, and when I put it over the paper, you can really see that. It was so pretty. I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. But before we get that down, we have to stamp our heads. I'm going to stamp those in Stays-On ink because I'm planning on using the Distress ink markers with a little bit of water later. And so Stays-On is waterproof when it dries. I'm sorry I left in the coloring. Not all of it, okay? But just bear with me. My favorite part of this page are these three little heads. And I think it's because I didn't color in every single little detail in the heads. I'm just going to call them the heads. The three ladies, I mean, they are literally just heads. I just kind of hit the parts on the face where you would have some natural shading going over what Dina Wakley had already drawn. That second one, I literally just gave her some cheeks and a little bit of shading under her chin. And the third one, I used a different color to do the same thing. I'm just hitting the parts of the face that would probably be a little shaded or already have some shading there. I really liked that color. I believe it's weathered wood. As you can see, it's a little dry, and that's why I wound up using these ones. They were the least dry of all of the ones that I own. I'm trying to move them with a little bit of water, and it's not working all that great. So I just kind of was like, you know, I like the colors. It's okay if it doesn't move. I'm just going to stick with it. After we get these colored out, we do have to cut them. So as you can see, there's one head, there's two heads, now there's three. Now let's start working on our background for our page, because that's not busy enough, right? I know. I was hoping that the heads on the collage paper would kind of tone that down a little bit. But at this point I can kind of see this isn't really going to work like how I'm thinking, but I'm a stubborn crafter. When I am committed to something, I'm just like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it work. And try as I might, you just can't see the heads. Also, the tissue paper didn't want to glue down. That's me realizing that it's not working at all like how I thought. And now the colors aren't even as bright. They're all muted from the tissue paper. So this is how I try to fix that. And I think I was successful, to be honest. I took some of this squid ink, and I'll put the color in the description below, and just basically did the same thing. I just stamped right back over the collage paper after it had dried. Trust me, I've learned that lesson. And I just kind of went crazy with it. Now it looks a little better. We can see some heads, and hopefully that representation of all the women in my life is kind of represented on the tag. Now I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put that friendship is a sheltering tree sentiment. I was bound to determine I was going to use that on that page because I had the whole theme of the page around that. This is when I make another poor choice. The tissue paper with the gray ink was the first one in case you're counting. I'm going over that little chicken wire with some gelato in lime green. And that green, oh, it was not okay. That is not the green you're searching for. It was not. But instead of switching gears, and this is a lesson that I learned making this tag, I was bound and determined to keep going. And what I really should have done, as much as I hate to say should, what I really, looking back, what I could have done differently was switch gears. And this tag probably would have come together with a lot less frustration. The green is not what I was wanting, so I'm just going to move on and go on with my embellishment mousse. Now I only have 2 colors of the Nuvo Embellishment mousse because all the other ones dried up. And I thought the silver would play nice against the gray on the Distress collage paper that you can't see at all. And this is when I realized that you can't see the silver. So to fix that, I'm going to add a lot of that hot pink. And while that color is absolutely amazing, it was really bright. So just going to keep going. I'm sticking with my plan. I wish I could go back and be like, it's time to change your plan, but I can't. So I do decide the green needs to be darker, and I work out how I'm going to do that. So I painstakingly went over each of those little pieces with a distress marker, and that helped quite a bit. But everything is really muddy. So I'm going to take that Stabilo, and I'm just going to go under the pieces of the chicken wire, and I'm trying to give some shadow. It also really needs some type of neutral in here because there is so much color that is all very close on the color wheel, and it's okay. It wasn't great. Oh, some more that just would not stick down, and I'm just going to say screw that. I'll worry about that later. Because the chicken wire with the Stabilo worked out so well, I thought, well, I'll go under the chevrons too and give it a little bit of a shadow. But because, as we all know, my stenciling skills are questionable, those were not stenciled evenly, so they did not get drawn on evenly. And you can kind of see that. But I was like, I've already done the bottom, I might as well do the top. And the Stabilo was really just not dark enough to give the effect I was going for. However, going around the edges and that faux stitch with that Posca pen made a huge difference and had not intended to do that. So as you can see, I am still fiddling with that sentiment, and at this point, my fingers are clearly horribly dirty, and now the sentiment is dirty, and we're just going to get rid of it. Now I'm switching gears, and now because I've decided to give up on my original plan and just try to come up with something new, I think things start getting a little bit better. The black makes a really big difference. So I decided to take the Posca pen and go over the previously drawn Stabilo. I don't know. I don't think it made that big of a difference, but you know what? I felt good about it as it was happening. I was feeling less frustrated, and I decided that the black is exactly what we need to back these heads, because again, there was just too much pastel-y color. And in my defense, not that I need to defend myself, I was really trying to experiment with colors that are out of my usual. I would very much go for turquoises and reds and stuff like that. This color palette is very different than what I'm used to working with. But I think I'm making it work. Though in all honesty, just between you and me, I'm basically hate crafting at this point. I think I'm really frustrated. Another lesson I learned is that you cannot stick anything you want over embellishment mousse or texture paste. So I had to pull out my heavy duty glue. That's that 321. It's like Fabri-Tac, to get that head on the washi tape stuck down over the embellishment mousse. And I'm just, like I said, I'm hate crafting at this point. I'm gonna finish this if it kills me. Now, these are the little sentiments from the stamp set, and I picked 3: strong, loyal, and spirited, because I was thinking of 3 really good friends that I have when I was making this and that I'm grateful for, and those are the characteristics of those friends. I have incredibly strong female role models in my life. They're all incredibly loyal. One in particular, she's the most loyal person I've ever met. And all of my friends are so spirited. So I was feeling, even though I was hate crafting, I was starting to practice a little gratitude, and I was really appreciating all of those amazing women in my life. And if you guys know who you are, I'm not going to embarrass you and call you out in front of all my tens of viewers. So I added my friend sentiment, and because everything else with this tag has worked so well, sorry, I just cracked myself up watching me. The little date stamp didn't work, so I had to stamp it twice. And we're done. I'm just going to pull off the side. So remember, guys, learn from your mistakes, and it is better to make bad art than no art at all. I'll see you next time.